let's start. First of all, thank you so much for attending this morning, this webinar. Social Baker, we have one main mission, which is to provide brands the best insight to optimize their results and manage their social media, especially even more, even more during this uncertain area, during this period. And that's the reason. This is our second webinar. We did a first one at the beginning of the crisis, of the coronavirus crisis. And that webinar was about how to manage your social media during the crisis. But right now, as you know, we are in a different stage, in a different phase. Right now is not any more time to react, but to plan your middle and long-term recovery. That is going to be the main topic of our webinar today, how to leverage social media to drive growth in recovery. But before to start, let me introduce myself. My name is Federico Oliveri. I'm a social media, digital strategist, keynote speaker, and blogger. I work at Social Baker as customer program manager. And basically, my role and my mission is very simple. My role is to support our top enterprise clients, identifying best practice and use cases in order to drive their operational efficiency and, of course, optimize the results of their social media marketing campaign. But as you can see, I'm not alone today. We have another host.
Hello everyone, I'm Pauline. I'm solutions consultant at Social Bakers. My mission is to understand your needs and understand also how Social Bakers can support and help you on your social media management performance.
Thank you so much, Pauline. By the way, me and Pauline, we are available. You can reach both of us also at the end of this webinar if you have any questions. So feel free to reach us by mail or by LinkedIn or social media, of course. So the agenda for today is pretty straightforward. We will cover during the first part some data trends. We analyze the communication of brands in terms of posting, sentiment, influencer marketing partnership, paid investment, in order to generate some insight and map the actual situation. And also during this first part, I will cover some emerging trends and how you can leverage these emerging trends for your recovery strategy. During the second part, Pauline is going to cover the communication life cycle of brand during during the crisis. So showing the evolution of the communication of brands from several industries, and also covering what is the role of brand purpose today. And last but not least, as last part, I will quickly show you some use cases on how our clients are leveraging our solution in order to optimize the results right now and reduce losses. And last but not least, we will have a dedicated question and answer for you in which you can ask every kind of question. So we have 1 hour and main insight to cover. So let's start. Let's start with the data trends. I will leverage the data in order to answer some recurring questions. Let's start with the first one. What is the COVID communication life cycle? Or usually one of the main questions from my clients are, I'm communicating too much, I have to communicate more. So we can see as every type of life cycle, we have a first stage, so the beginning, let's say then depends from country to country, by the end of February to the beginning of March, in which brands start to communicate about the COVID and sharing posts. Here we are analyzing the number of posts related to COVID-19. Then we have a second stage, which is, of course, the growth. So in which we have several peaks, which, by the way, is the end of March and the first week of April, in which brand they started to communicate a lot about the COVID-19. But what we can notice that we are moving to a more mature stage. In the last 2 weeks, brands are starting to slowly reducing the number of content related to COVID-19. And we can see the same trends moving from a user perspective. After being bombarded, let's say, from many content related to COVID-19, users are starting to interact less with COVID-related content. Of course, this doesn't mean that you have to stop your communication related to COVID, but depends, first of all, from the framing. And then we will see many examples during the part of Pauline, during the section covered by Pauline. Depends from the framing, and also taking into consideration the new reality, the new routine of the user. Of course, then now we are starting a new stage in which many states, many countries, they are reducing the restriction. So this, of course, will directly influence the communication, the brand communication. Another recurring question is, which industry are taking the leads? Which industry are covering more this topic? On Facebook, we will see the difference between Facebook and Instagram, but by the way, I would like to tell you that, anticipate you that the results are pretty similar. At the first place, we have the service industry that communicate more about the COVID-19, the coronavirus. Under the umbrella of services, we have many business, but inside this category, we have also the online services and the online application, like, for example, the food delivery. That's the reason why we have many content coming from this industry. The finance, the banking and finance industry, which is pretty normal, they are leveraging this opportunity in order to improve the usage of the online banking services and the online remote services. And last but not least, the retail industry. And the retail industry is mostly communicating about delivery and how to associate the brand communication and the brand product offer to the lifestyle of consumer. We will see an example during this first part. On Instagram, we have more or less the same results, so services and retail, and one difference, which is the fashion industry. The fashion industry is communicating more about, from one side, corporate social responsibility, from the other side, pushing the e-commerce sales in order to reduce the negative impact of the crisis, so communicating about the free delivery of their product, of course, through the e-commerce sales. Another recurring question is, what is the brand image impact on my brand when I communicate about the coronavirus? What we can see from the data that there isn't any real impact, because is not statistically relevant. We have just a more 4% in terms of negative sentiment. Anyway, also if there isn't a real impact, analyzing, let's say, the top post by negative sentiment, we identified a common trend. The common trend is this one. This is an example. British Airways promoting the new flexible policies for changing your ticket. I think that many of you had to change their plan for this summer. Me, I am part of this category. What we can see, the common trend is that many users are struggling to get updated and reliable and valuable information about the brand's operation. This means that today it's more and more needed a workflow of data, insight, and procedure that connect all the different teams, from the e-commerce one to the community management one, to the customer care, to the content team, in order to provide the best information to our user and also guarantee an excellent customer experience. Here, for example, this user, and the vast majority of the users that were complaining under this post were complaining that it was impossible for them to reach any type of agent on social media, at the call center, or on the website. How is evolving the partnership today with influencer? Let's say that brand, they decided to cut their influencer marketing budget. This is, of course, more relevant for some specific sector, like, for example, the travel accommodation one, as influencers are not traveling anymore. So is touching especially the travel influencer, because usually here you can see that we have the lowest point, which is pretty normal because usually we have the highest peak in terms of partnership or influencer marketing partnership, sorry, in December, which is normal by Christmas. But then usually if we look at the historical data, starting from the end of February, we can see a raise in terms of influencer marketing campaign that we cannot see this year. Anyway, the situation is evolving. Why? Because during the quarantine, more and more creators, they were creating content at home. So starting from, let's say, April, brands are starting again to create and plan influencer campaign. Here we have two examples, one from Bobbi Brown and the other for Nike. And of course, as common trend, we have the famous challenges that, by the way, is an interesting trend because more and more Instagram content are connected to challenges. That it's something, as you perfectly know, that is coming from the proper language of TikTok as platform. What we can see in terms of advertising budget, many brands decided to cut or freeze their advertising budget. The reason why today we have more and more organic posts they are shared. So we have more organic posts than paid posts. And as direct consequence, we have the overall by the way very particular a situation as we have more and more people connected online, as you perfectly know, but at the same time, brands are not reaching these people. So let's say they are missing an opportunity in order to be close to their audience and be top of mind, and at the same time support their e-commerce sales. We can see that on average, brands, they decrease the advertising spending on Facebook and Instagram of almost the 20%. But another recurring question coming from my clients is why I should desist from freezing my advertising plan. First of all, in time, users are more and more, as you know, connected online, and we can easily identify a trend during this period, which is, before we were talking, for example, about the services of online banking, it's that people are more and more using virtual services or doing virtual activity. And also it's something more from the reason why you don't have to freeze your advertising plan. As I love to say, it's not time to modulate the investment, but your message. It's something that will be covered also during the second part by Pauline. It's that you can reach your audience for a lower cost. We can see an evident decrease in terms of CPM for a simple reason. There are less brands that are advertising, so you have less competition. Less competition means lower costs for a better action rate. And we can see also in terms of cost per click, we have much lower cost per click. And also the wise brand, for example, from our data, we can notice that the savvy brands that continue to advertising, they saw a plus 28% in terms of page reach. Anyway, today, I don't want to cover something that you already know, because I'm sure at 100% that is not your first webinar about this subject. But I won't cover all the topic about be part of the quarantine routine, engage your audience, provide something to them, be part of their lifestyle during the quarantine. Something that you already know, and will be also covered by Pauline when she will cover the communication life cycle of the brands. Anyway, today I would like to underline some opportunity for your brand in order to recover faster from this crisis. There are some emerging trends from this crisis that you should start to leverage in order, once again, to recover faster. The first trend is that are emerging new user behavior, and you have to align your content strategy to this new user behavior. We will see a couple of examples of this one. Another trend is, of course, that is the e-commerce sales. From the latest data from GfK, we have a plus, and I underline plus 100% of e-commerce sales for UK, Italy, Spain, and France. And this is another trend that is going to last also in the next months. And it's something that you should definitely leverage. Last but not least, as you perfectly know, this situation is accelerating all the digital transformation processes inside the company. By the way, when I talk about digital transformation, I'm not talking just about, which is of course extremely important, about smart working or remote working. So one key topic is coordinate several teams at distance, which is once again extremely important in order to generate operational efficiency and generate cost saving. But I'm talking also about the new digital enablement process in order to guarantee the brand experience at a distance. So like augmented reality, virtual test. I will show you a couple of examples. So let's start from the first one, new behavioral trends alignment. This is an example coming from IKEA Italy that you might know. Basically today, one of your priority is to map your content strategy and understand if your content strategy is aligned to the new user behavior. An example, of course, the new user behavior can change from industry to industry, but one common emerging trend is, for example, that the home, your apartment, is becoming, again, the center of life and experience. So doing more and more experience inside your apartment. And it's something that is going to last also in the next months. So this is a smart way of selling. IKEA proposing with a mix between stories, Instagram stories, Instagram posts, several activities that you can do in different parts of your apartment, and like the best book to read, practicing yoga, etc., etc. All these activities, of course, are connected to the product offer. Second trend, once again, this crisis is boosting e-commerce sales. So there is a segment of the population that before were buying just offline, that started to buy online, and this is going to last. So is extremely important in order to accelerate the decision-making process and make it easier for the user, provide them updated and credible information. So, for example, there are many brands that are working on this. By the way, for doing this, you need processes and data in order to align several teams. Once again, from the customer care one to the community management one to the e-commerce one to the content one. So many brands are leveraging social media in order to provide always updated information. These are two examples coming from the beauty industry with Ritual Cosmetic that is providing information, updated information through WhatsApp or Messenger, that provide all the information about the delivery of the product through the direct messages. Last but not least, I was talking about the new brand remote experience. The crisis is accelerating all the digital transformation process, so we can see that more and more brands are investing in providing their brand experience at a distance, an experience that you can do from home, directly from your sofa. And when I talk about brand remote experience, I mean, we are talking about virtual test, augmented reality, we are talking about games, etc., etc. Here we have three examples from three different industries. The first one is from L'Oreal, so the beauty industry. So they launched a virtual try-on test on their website. So you can see the makeup on, on your face before to buy it. Here, when I talk about how to accelerate the decision-making process, we have the example of Canbury. Canbury is providing, so here we are talking about the FMCG industry. Canbury is providing 2D games for playing with your children. And of course, you can unlock new level of the game buying the product. And last but not least, we have Volkswagen in Brazil. it's leveraging augmented reality in order to, and there are several other examples like this on the automotive industry, in order to customize your vehicle, your model of car, and also have, let's say, the same experience like in the dealership store. This was my last trend. So now Pauline will cover all the brand communication part and brand communication life cycle and the role of brand purpose today. It's up to you, Pauline.
Yes. Let me just share my screen.
Yes. I stop to share.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, hello again, everyone. So I'm going to talk about the brand's communication and how you can get inspired by what I'm going to show you. Actually, today we see that the life is changing. Even if we can't go to the gyms or even if we can't go to the restaurant, for example, everything's go to us through the social and the digital. Here we can have like a little map of the, I would say, COVID-19 path and how it looks like. So the phase one was really like the emergence of the consumption of the media from the people, and especially of the digital and the social networks. After we had the phase two, the digital transformation, so meaning like everyone was actually looking at tutorials or video lessons of a gym or whatever. Phase three, the people were actually getting bored, and the brands wanted to try to entertain their audiences and make them always busy, because we know that the lockdown is really hard. And after the phase four, we see like the brands are actually trying to talk about the after and about the future after the lockdown. Also, what we can say is basically people have more time at home, and also are having like experiencing the social distancing. So it's a real opportunity for the brands to communicate to their audience. Also, we see that the people spend more time on social media, but to be entertained and connect with others. And the winners, we can say that they are the brands that actually using this time to keep close to their, to stay close to their audience. So this is not the time to be quiet for the brands. What do you need to do actually is to create valuable content. So truthful content, meaning accurate and authentic content. Reactive, because you need to share like messages that are actually in a timely manner, meaning like you can't talk like um, show like nobody like nothing happens, in an empathic way, meaning like we need to show also compassion to the audience, and useful with informative and practical content. So this is the time actually for the brand to share content with their brand values and purpose. So what kind of message to share? First of all, the message that shows that you act for the collective, but also spreading the good messages. So this is like the messages about collective and society, but also messages that allows people to connect, and also the messages that allow you to go with your audiences and connect with your audiences. So these kind of messages will be about individual and about staying at home. So first of all, of course, the message is about acting for the collective. We see a lot of content about what the brands are doing during this crisis. Of course, we have, for example, Mango, who's actually doing things with Médecins Sans Frontières, but also all the content about the medical production. We see a lot of this kind of content, and also all the content about assistance to medical stuff. So this is about like we are at home, but brands are actually acting. Second, we have the message about spread the good messages, because the brand are also like
have to vehicle like the good messages. So about that, we have like the we are all heroes staying at home. Paco Rabanne did this. Nike also with all the athletes staying at home but playing for the world, and also L'Oreal with you wear it because you stay at home. So you are like actually acting today for the world by staying at home, and you are a hero. Then also the message about like connecting people. So we see a lot of life events. First of all, life lessons. For example, you can see a lot of sport lessons and live sport lessons with Adidas, for example, or also ballet lessons with like an étoile from the Opéra de Paris. We also see a lot of social live events. Here I put the example for Martini, who actually like organize Visio Fridays and aperitivo with all the people who want to reach actually by on Zoom. And then also music live. So here I put the example for Mango Home Session, but it is always about like being together and being connected all together. Also, we can see that we use actually digital to bring you some things, to bring you somewhere. Sorry. So first of all, digital to restaurants. We see a lot of food delivery. Also, big chef are actually doing like delivery and click and collect. The digital will brings you also to TV, because we know like the old people actually don't have like mobile phones or laptops. So Orange, for example, gives you the opportunity to share the message with your family on the TV. But also the digital bring you at school. For example, I see this very nice example from a professor actually who do school from on YouTube, and the content calls the professor goes live, which is funny. And the last but not least, go with your audiences, stay with your audiences, and keep the opportunity to actually talk with them. For example, by engaging them through polls or through giving their opportunity to share the content when they used to be in the hotel for Mama Shelter, for example, or when they used to spending experiences at this kind of place. But also Q&A sessions. For example, L'Oreal will organize like Q&A sessions about your skin and how you can take care of your skin during the lockdown. After, we see a lot of challenges because, as I said just at the beginning, people get bored, so we need to make them entertained and also busy. So we see a lot of challenge. One which is actually very funny is the one from H&M, which actually allows people to style like if they were on the catwalk, but on your kitchen, and then you share your content to the brand. And it's a nice way actually to keep people entertained. Then the music, I saw that the music is really important for the brands. For example, of course, Deezer, which is actually not surprising, but Chanel, or also like sport coaches or gym places who actually like doing partnerships with Beats by Dre, for example, or Chanel, as I said, the Chanel muses who actually like shared their playlist on Apple Music. Of course, always tutorials and do-it-yourself through makeup tutorials, hair tutorials, also do-it-yourself and do your own recipes. For example, Pierre Hermé was actually sharing like a famous recipe. And also YouTube was actually like sharing like the restez chez vous, hashtag with me, avec moi. It's like a list of content classified by collections, and it's about sports, it's about recipes, it's about meditations, etc., etc. Then, of course, you will have the deck, so I'm not going to go through all of these, but you will have the opportunity to see the videos. But it's a nice example to see, to show you that actually the COVID-19 and the lockdown is invited to the ads on the TV or on YouTube or everywhere. And we can see that actually it's part of our daily. So we have a lot of nice content. For example, the last one from Apple, Creativity Goes On, that actually shows that thanks through your laptop or through your mobile phone, you can actually still being creative even at home. Then also the last but not least, creating content at home. So 3 very nice examples. First of all, the first TV ad from Honda, which actually has been done at home and seen at home. I really strongly encourage you to see this ad because it's very nice. And also campaigns and shooting were actually done at home also. Zara, the models are doing the shooting at home. And Jacques Mus, who actually did also the shooting by FaceTime from his home to the model's home. And a little bit of yes, of positivity, we will say. We can see that the brands and the industries are actually doing different stuff. First of all, for example, the London Fashion Week will be done digitally. Or Saint Laurent actually announced yesterday that they won't be participated to the Fashion Week in Paris, and they will actually do their own schedule because they think that it's the good things to do. We have a lot of words from CEOs also, especially from the retails, who actually talk about how we are going to people and how we're gonna have like the nice way to be to have the protection from this COVID-19. And then also I really like this Burger King France, who actually give the opportunity to the people who do their birthdays at home and during the lockdown to win their birthday at Burger King after the lockdown. So it's a vision to the future, and to think that one day everything will be done and we will maybe have a normal life, I would say. That's it for me. I give again the macro to Fede.
Thanks a lot, Pauline, for this coverage. Super interesting, by the way. Once again, I remember you that we will have a final Q&A at the end. So keep your question. You can ask all the questions regarding the data trends or the communication example to me and Pauline. Of course, any kind of question that you may have. Let me share again my screen with you. So during this third and last part of our webinar, I would like to cover some use cases coming from our client. So how our clients are leveraging our solution in order to reach 3 main goals. The first one is to generate cost efficiency, so which is extremely important right now in order to reduce the negative impact of the crisis. The second one is how to, as we saw before, there are some emerging trends that are going to last also in the next months. So how to understand, how to analyze and understand if the content strategy is aligned to the new user needs. And last but not least, generating our insight in order to take smarter decisions, of course, support the overall business goal of a company. I will cover this part in a quick way because I would like to have some dedicated time for our Q&A. So let's start. Let's start with the first part, which is improving operational efficiency. Right now, with our clients, we are working, especially right now, we have several teams working remotely in some remote flow, approval flow, in order to speed up the content creation process from idea to publication. The second step is to provide a unified environment for our clients in order to have a much more organized governance and distribution of the content. This is extremely important because we have to keep in mind, of course, behind any content, there is a production cost. So in this way, there is a smarter way to share content across the overall organization and avoid endless mail exchange. And of course, provide a unified view in order to see if all the brands across several markets are following our brand style in terms of visual or in terms of tone of voice. Before we were talking about e-commerce sales and also in general about customer experience. As I said before, right now it's extremely important to coordinate several teams. Reason why we are providing to the community management team some always updated answer template that they can work on together with people from other departments in order to provide the right message and a message that is always updated and valuable for their client or their prospect. One of our objectives is also to reduce the manual workload. So in this way, you have more time dedicated to more strategic tasks. So we have this feature called task automation that automatically tag all the type of content. So and then this category you will analyze on your reporting. So you can categorize content by campaign, by topic, like for example, the coronavirus. But also you can automatically tag all the comment, all the question coming from your audience. In this way, you will have a better vision of which are the more recurring questions coming from your audience and optimize all your customer care processes. Because of course, this comment mapping is connected to some dedicated customer care dashboard, reporting dashboard. The second part, as we said, is to align the audience need to the brand communication. How we do this? First of all, providing worldwide inspiration to brands. Inside Social Baker, you will find a tool called Inspiration, a module called Inspiration that basically it's a database with more of 12 million of pieces of content. So in this way, the brand, they can inform their content strategy. You can leverage influencer. So for example, in this moment, many of our clients are looking for influencers. They are sharing content connected to quarantine challenges, for example, of course. Identify the best content coming from this influencer, share the information across the organization, and select the most relevant influencer for your audience. Then we have, of course, you can analyze the content strategy, not just of your own brands, but also of, as I said before, of influencer, sorry, and also from competitor. We have a unified hub called Content Hub, in which you can analyze every type of content across several channels. Then this content, you can create some collection. There are some shared folder, and you can share the insight. Once again, I underline right now that it is extremely strategic to connect, especially when we talk about content marketing, several teams in an efficient way. So you can create this folder of the best content, and you can share the information across the organization. As we saw before, you can also map your content by sentiment, negative, neutral, and positive, in order to understand which is the user behavior and adjust your tone of voice and your content strategy. Last but not least is to generate insight in order to support your business goal. We are working with our clients in order to create we created some automated dashboard. They are part of our product offer, in which our clients, for example, they are cross-checking data coming from their social media campaign with data coming from their website. So, for example, you can measure all the sales on the e-commerce coming from social campaign or social content. Paid governance, which is extremely important in order to understand how the different brands are spending the market. If their spending is aligned to your overall organization, and then to provide to the key stakeholder the information about your social media spending in an easy and quick way. And last but not least, as we know, the influencer marketing investment is not for free, but could be really expensive, the investment in influencer marketing. Reason why we need data to validate our investment and understand if we want to renew or not a partnership with an influencer. Reason why today it's possible to connect the private data of an influencer and check all the data regarding their follower, so the demographic of their follower, in order to understand if we are reaching the right people in terms of targeting, but also to have all the insight, all the private insight regarding the post that they did in partnership with you. So like the reach, the save, etc., etc. And once again, justify your investment and fine-tune your next campaign. This was the last use case. And right now, I really would like to hear your question, and we would like to answer to all your questions. So, as you may notice, there is a Q&A button. So feel free to click on the button, on the Q&A button, and ask us all your questions. By the way, just one last point before the Q&A. Keep in mind that the use case that I showed to you are some general use cases. So if you want that we share with you some use cases that are more customized to the needs, to the specific needs of your brand, feel free to reach us. And once again, if you want, we are ready for the Q&A. Feel free to ask us any kind of question regarding the data trends, the communication trends, or any possible, or the use cases, or every kind of question you may have.
Hello, Fede. There is one question from Alessandra Bufano. How an outdoor brand...
Bufano. No, sorry, Manon, gone.
How an outdoor brand can cover the after phase? I think people are getting bored and want to leave the outdoor again.
Which type of brand? Sorry, I didn't hear it.
It's an outdoor brand.
Outdoor brand, they can cover the
after phase.
The after phase. And the first part was they are getting bored of COVID-related communication, I suppose.
Yeah, they want to leave the outdoor again. They want to go out, of course.
Yeah, they want to go out. But of course, the communication will change a lot from country to country. This means that from the regulation right now, that all the countries, they are reducing their restriction. So based on this, you can fine-tune your communication in terms of outdoor activities. I think that start, at least for a country like France, we will have less restrictions starting from the beginning of May. So keeping maybe something that could be interesting is to start again to do some activity together. For example, right now I'm thinking about the Adidas running app or Nike running app, doing some activities together, because people, they want to start again to meet people, but of course keeping at the same time the social distances. I don't know if I answered your question or if you have other questions.
I have another question
Yes?
from Leonie Mata. Do you have any case study to share on haute couture? both wholesale and brand and retail?
Haute couture in retail and
Wholesale and retail.
wholesale
Wholesale / brand.
/ brand. Okay. No, right now I don't have available any haute couture direct case study. Anyway, feel free to write us a mail. We will be more than happy to check and provide you some key info about it.
And do we have any best case concerning TV?
Concerning television.
Yes.
But right now, for example, we have, yesterday I had a call with one of our clients, which is Discovery Eurosport. Right now, brands, of course, in terms of television or television services, they are pushing a lot because it's an opportunity of business for them. They are pushing a lot on demand, so paid content on television, because we all notice the increase of people connected online, but it's the same, of course, for television in terms of television consumption. So right now, basically, they are providing, they're using social media in order to provide some sneak to the user to their new website, in which the user can subscribe for the on-demand services. So more and more, by the way, yes, television or television-related or media service, the media industry is pushing more and more on-demand and paid service. This is the Netflix school, by the way.
And we have another question from Francesca Longobardi, who is a social media manager of Telecom Italia.
Mm-hmm.
How can we support social stores through social media and get customers back to visit our stores when they can go out again?
I can take this one if you want, Fede.
Yes, let's go, Pauline.
I would say when I check actually the communication from the retail brands or the shops, people are really talking about like all the things that they are going to put in place related to barrier, all this kind of stuff. So I think it's really important to communicate on this, that you will like be very very hard on this part, and I think it will help people to say, okay, we can go back to the shops and we don't risk actually to anything. So I would say it's important to communicate about this. I don't know, Fede, if you see something else.
The communication for the drive to store.
Yeah.
But for the direct to store, I totally agree with you. Of course, people, they should feel safe before to go to store. But it's important to continue to, is going to be a key differentiator to drive people to store, because as we know, we have more and more e-commerce sales, but e-commerce cannot cover the total amount that we want to reach in terms of objective. So maybe what I notice right now, then more and more services like the pick and collect are spreading also in industry that before were not doing this type of so we're not providing this type of services. And the other point I would like to underline is more connect once again to remote experience. If I can have an experience of the product, I can touch and feel the product also from my apartment, then it will be easier for me. So in this way, I reduce my, let's say, time inside the shop, because I'm already convinced I want to buy that product. I can go at the shop, buy it, and come back home. It will be also very connected to the brand remote experience.
We have another question. For the hotel industry in Europe, when do you think it will be a good time to start working with local influencers for domestic travel?
But the domestic travel, for domestic travel, of course, I think that it depends a lot from the internal regulation of a country. So follow the news and be updated. I think that, for example, in a country like France, you should start now, because it's more and over there are many signs that the local tourism will be possible also outside your region. And something that I think in terms of tourism, something that you can drive to influencer, this is important, it's first of all, communicate to the audience the flexible, your new, let's say, flexible offer. The people, they are not scared to buy something, because they know if it's something change in the middle term, they can use what they bought in a second time. So communicate the flexibility of your offer through influencer, and start to work on membership subscribing, something that is doing groups like, for example, Accor Hotel. So working with influencer, leverage the influencer. So in this way, you can generate and build loyalty also in the long term. If you enter in our community loyalty program, your offer will be flexible, and also at the same time, you will have more advantages. So I think, in order to directly answer your question, the time for start to plan campaign with influencer, in many cases, it's right now.
Do you have other questions, or everything is okay?
Don't be shy. Pauline is a nice person. By the way, keep in mind, once again, if you don't have question right now, please write to us, reach us on social media, on LinkedIn, or by mail, and feel free to ask all the questions you might have. See, there is something popping up on the chat.
Yeah, but no question. It was about also sharing the presentation. So of course, we will share the presentation and the recording to everyone.
I think that if we don't have any more questions, we can conclude our webinar. Once again, thanks a lot for attending the webinar. Feel free to reach with us any kind of feedback, and of course, any kind of question you may have. So once again, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time, and of course, stay safe, of course, and continue to follow Social Baker, so you will be updated on our new webinar and content. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye.